Hello and welcome to the Ice Guys, brought to you by the Hockey Podcast Network. This is the show that takes you into the world of the National Hockey League. Every game, every day, from a sports betting perspective, with pro handicappers Alex B. Smith and veteran sports writer Jimmy Murphy. And now, here's your host, Ian Cameron.
Welcome to the Ice Guys, presented by the Hockey Podcast Network. Saturday, December 11th, Ian Cameron, Alex B. Smith. The Saturday card is a massive one. We've got 12 games on tap for this Saturday slate. Looking forward to it. Let's get right into it with the one and only afternoon game on this Saturday slate. We got the Tampa Bay Lightning taking on the Ottawa Senators. We've got Tampa Bay minus 200 to minus 210. Road favorites, pretty much in that range across the board right now. 6 the total in this game. The Tampa Bay Lightning going through a Eastern Canadian swing. It's gone through Montreal and Toronto already, winning both of those games. Now part of a 5-game win streak for the Lightning coming into this matchup here against the Ottawa Senators. Been impressed with Tampa Bay's ability to still win games. You look at who's been out for them the last little bit. Obviously, Point and Kucherov been out for a while. Eric Chernak, one of their better shutdown defensemen, has been out for a while and won't be returning till later this month. And Anthony Cirelli missed the Leaf game the other night with an upper body injury. And yet Tampa Bay just moves along and finds ways to win. No excuses. Next man up mentality, depth shining through. And we know Tampa Bay, believe it or not, actually, Tampa Bay, we question their depth a little bit this year because they lose guys like Blake Coleman, Barclay Goodrow from last year's team. In that third line, Gord as well. That whole third line gone from last year. We wondered if they had capable fill-ins and replacements to step in and fill that void. Well, Belmar scores. Maroon finds a way to score. Perry's been picking it up lately. Boris Kachuk on the fourth line's chipped in. Matthew Joseph, has been a little bit of an offensive impact player lately as well. So they found other options, and you give John Cooper credit for that. Coaching does play a part. You got to make sure when you have injuries, you find line combinations that can work and can contribute for you in a positive manner. And Cooper's been able to do that here for this Tampa team. Ottawa coming off a 5-3 loss to the New York Islanders. Really, other than the win against New Jersey where they won in a shootout, I mean, it has been very difficult for Ottawa to defensively lately. The goaltending has really had a tough time. They've been giving up goals in bunches. Of course, at this point, DJ Smith is just going back and forth between Anton Forsberg and Gustafsson, just hoping to see if one of these guys can step up and maybe grab that number one job by the scruff of the neck. And nobody's been able to do that yet between Gustafsson and Forsberg. Forsberg will get the start here in this early start affair. I'm going to go over the total here of 6, just because we do have some series history that's very strong in that regard. 10-2 to the over in the last 12 head-to-head meetings here between the Lightning and the Senators. And you look at the previous meeting this year, it was last month. And I remember, Alex, it was an afternoon game. It was a Saturday afternoon game, and it was the same time as this one. 5-3 Tampa Bay. Game flew over the total. I'm kind of thinking we see something similar here. Ottawa very shaky right now at the back end and with their goaltending. And I would certainly lean to Tampa Bay. I don't want to step in front of them, but again, you're going to have to lay a little bit of a price here with the Lightning in regulation, because you're not getting the absolute bargain there. It's about minus 135 with that. Certainly lean in that direction, but I'm just going to stick to the over here between the Lightning and Senators. Alex, Tampa, Ottawa.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna be right on there the over with you, but I'm gonna wait. We're gonna more than likely be on the air by the time this game starts. I'm gonna look to try to grab a better price. I mean, 6 even's fine, but I think we might be able to get into that 5.5 range. I feel like maybe the goals won't come right away in this one, but I do think it'll get over that 6. So if you like over, you can grab it now. But I think I'm gonna play it a little safer and grab that. I'll try to grab an over 5.5. Because you do have these early starts, and yeah, these two teams played an early start game in Ottawa. We saw it go 5-3, but sometimes they, can still take a while for these teams. And these aren't the two teams that play a lot of day games throughout the year. We'll see a couple more of them, in the second half of the season. But usually I always talk about the teams that I have circled that play a lot of day games on Fridays or Saturdays and Sundays, I should say. And their tendencies, you kind of want to read into those a little bit more than some of these teams that just sporadically play day games.
Yeah, second period over, Ottawa has really been good in that regard, too. If you look at the great charting of Chris Otto with all the totals and streaks and puck line streaks, and, of course, Tampa Bay, and people in the chat are alluding to it, maybe look minus a half goal first period puck line with Tampa Bay. That's 13-2 and 13-2 in the last 17 games. The first period puck line on the Tampa Bay Lightning. So first period puck line's been a good bet here for Tampa. The one concern with that today is you beat Montreal, you beat Toronto, you're a little lazy in the first period today, early start against the weaker team, Ottawa. Sometimes you sleepwalk when you're facing an inferior team once in a while. I worry about that a little for Tampa Bay today.
Yeah, definitely. And when you're laying the puck line in the first period, you pretty much need the score first. Now that doesn't mean anything. Obviously, the team can come back and tie it up. But if I feel that momentum of cashing that, it's hard to get a team to score 2 goals after they're down 1 within the first period. It has happened before, but it's pretty rare. So, even if you feel maybe you don't want to roll with them the whole way, maybe you could look at Tampa at a small unit to score first. And then that way, if things keep rolling on, or Ottawa does kind of bounce back, you got to clear. You've already cashed your ticket.
Yeah, that's definitely good sage advice there for looking at a game like this. Washington and Buffalo. We've got Washington minus 215 to minus 220. Road favorites here, 6 the total in this game. Best bet winner for me yesterday against Buffalo with the Rangers in regulation. Got pretty close to down the stretch, but 2-1 they hold off and fend off the Sabres in that game. And the Sabres offense, we talked about slowed down a bit the last few games. That continued last night. Just 3 goals in the last 2 games for this Sabres team. Now part of a 6-game losing streak for Buffalo coming into this matchup today against Washington, who dropped a 4-2 decision to the Pittsburgh Penguins. Really impressed with Pittsburgh in that game last night, to be honest with you. We talked about it. They were out on the West Coast for a quartet of games, and then they came all the way back to the East Coast for a weird scheduling spot last night against Washington before going home to face Anaheim tonight. And Pittsburgh, in a bit of a tricky spot for them, still gets the job done, and shorthanded a little bit too. No Jake Gensel last night for Pittsburgh, still take care of business against the Capitals. So very impressive win for Pittsburgh. Disappointing loss, though, if you're on the Washington side of things. Washington, by the way, they're on the second night of back-to-backs. They're 2-1. On a second night of back-to-back games this year. Buffalo 0-4 on the second night of back-to-back games. So to me, this is just kind of like last night. Team that's the better team. This is coming off a loss. You look at a team like the Buffalo Sabres as your chance to get back on track, right? Kind of like the New York Rangers last night. I hate to say that. That's Buffalo right now. Teams that are better and they're coming off a loss. You would expect focus and not taking them lightly, not taking them for granted. Obviously, they're not. When you're losing to Sidney Crosby and your arch rivals, you've had a rivalry with Pittsburgh for years. You definitely want to bounce back here. I think the Capitals, again, played well enough last night, but pucks didn't go in. The goaltending for Pittsburgh was good. It's not like they played horrible, but Pittsburgh did play a very good road game last night in that victory. But I think the Capitals bounce back here, and I'm going to go with them here in regulation. The price isn't terrible. With that here in this game. Washington in regulation about minus 140 in this one. Low enough that I'm going to take it. You could go puck line if you want, or you could go first period puck line even, but I'm going to go with Washington here in regulation, minus 140. Alex, Capitals, Sabres.
Yeah, I'm going with the over here at 6, laying $1.05, or you can find it up to $1.10. Whichever goalie Buffalo rolls with tonight, it still leans to the over. Either Luukkonen plays again in a back-to-back spot, which is tough for to ask for a young guy, or it could be Malcolm Subban coming back from this day-to-day injury. He looked horrible in his first start. Or, of course, it's our favorite goalie of the fade, Aaron Dell. So either way, this looks like it could be, like I said, a good bounce-back game for Washington. This is a Buffalo team where they've been giving up 27 goals in the last 6 games combined. I feel like Washington probably ends up doing the bulk of the work and gets this thing well over the zone.
All right, liking the over, and you're right. The goaltending will be something to monitor. They've actually gotten some solid play out of Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen so far, the Sabres. But does Don Granato want to put him in on the second night of back-to-back games? That remains a question here. I have a feeling he might here because your other options are Malcolm Subban. I don't think is ready to go. We'll see. Actually, you know what he said about Subban, that he's been practicing. He did practice Friday. He might actually be available. And I would think Malcolm Subban would get the first look before Aaron Dell if it's not Luukkonen.
Yeah, I don't know. That's questionable because if the thing is you brought him in to try to eventually get rid of Dell, right? Like you're not riding with Dell the rest of the season if you can avoid it. But the thing is you don't want him to come in and all of a sudden try to play out through an injury on mid-December, and then all of a sudden you end up losing for a long time. So if anything, you got to take your lumps and maybe ride with a healthier Dell until Subban is fully healthy and ready, and not just thrown into the fire after getting just shipped out from Rockford. So I don't know. I think we might see Dell tonight. If I had to pick a goalie that we would see tonight, not just for personal bias, but just options wise, you don't want to run looking it into the ground, and you don't want to risk re-injuring Subban. So it might be Dell, I think.
Yeah, and if it is Dell, I will be adding that over along with Alex, which she's bet. There's no way I'm passing that up if it's Aaron Dell in net tonight. All right, original six matchup here. Hockey night in Canada. Chicago Blackhawks, Toronto Maple Leafs. We got Toronto minus 240 here in this game. 6 the total, shaded to the over in this one. Man, I was hoping to take the Leafs here. I like the spot for them. They weren't happy with their game against Tampa. I think this is a spot where they could have been a good bet here, but boy, you're not getting any sort of bargain here. Even regulation with the Leafs is north of minus 150 in this game. So I don't know if I'll actually pull the trigger here, but I would expect Toronto's got a good shot at bouncing back, and Chicago off the 2-0 shutout against Montreal, but they've been in this weird pattern, win one, lose one, win one, lose one the last several games, and feels like they're walking into a spot here against a Leaf team that, like I said, turnovers really crippled them against Tampa Bay. Most of the Lightning goals in that game were just off Leaf mistakes. They want to clean up the defensive zone a little bit. This could actually be an under, but I don't want to go against the streak, and that's the over streak with Toronto, but it does kind of feel like a spot where the Leafs want to clean it up defensively. That was all the talk after the loss against Tampa the other night was, hey, too many gaffes with the puck, too many turnovers, got sloppy with it. We need to clean it up in our own zone tonight. So we'll see if that is indeed the case here going into this game. Some interesting goaltending news from a Leaf perspective, as we're going to see Peter Mrazek in net for the first time. Of course, he's been out due to injury for a long period of time. So it's been Jack Campbell and Joseph Wall in net. So obviously with this move, they're going to send Joe Wall back down to the AHL, to the Marlies, but Mrazek back off injury here. So that's the one thing that does bother me with maybe looking under is, a guy that hasn't played in a while, how sharp is he? And the same thing with back in Toronto here. It's been a while since we've seen Mrazek in net. How sharp and how effective is he going to be with going this long without playing? Kevin Lankinen will get the nod in between the pipes tonight for Chicago in this one. So the lean is Toronto in regulation, but again, I got priced out of it. I'm not laying $1.60 on a regulation bet. I just rarely will ever do that. So it's just a lean, Leafs in regulation. Alex, Blackhawks, Leafs.
Yeah, it should be an interesting game. Like you mentioned, this has definitely been a trend of up and down right now as a roller coaster for the Hawks. Like I said, win one, lose one. They got the big emotional win. Marc-Andre Fleury's 500th career win, 2-0, and they got the shutout as well in his home province. They announced. I mean, it was like literally moments after the game ended. King and his presser announced that Lincoln was going to get the start here, and at first glance, this price is kind of you'd say, oh, wow, a bit disrespectful. I mean, Lincoln, and yes, he hasn't had that great of a season, going through that bit of a sophomore slump. But man, he's a good goalie when you're talking about plus $2 underdog. Under different circumstances, I would be taking a shot at the Hawks, but I'm staying away from the side here. I'm actually going to go with a player prop. I'm going to go with Kirby Dach to score a goal at plus 300. He's getting bumped up to that top line. Borgstrom is out, so Dach's going to be on the line with Kane and DeBrincat. We know how well those two move the puck. So Dach finally getting into that offensive rhythm with 12 and 88. That should be a good thing for him. So at plus 300, I'll take a shot for him to get a goal tonight.
Yeah, and for the Leafs, I'd look at Andre Kasha. This guy is really starting to heat up for Toronto. He's finding the back of the net a lot more than early in the season. He was shooting a lot, but wasn't getting any results for his effort. But you're really starting to see Andre Kasha get his offensive game going, and that's been good news for the Leafs with obviously Mitch Marner still out. You're going to have Jason Spezza still serving his suspension tonight for this game against Chicago. So to see other players really step up in a depth scoring role for the Toronto Maple Leafs is good. And I agree with Dach. Dach is definitely someone that I think you're going to see him, especially with the elevation in the lineup tonight for this game. You're going to see him have a chance. And same with Kasha. Kasha is now going to be on the top line tonight with Austin Matthews and Michael Bunting. So more opportunity for Kasha, who has scored, I believe, in consecutive games or close. Yeah, 3 goals in the last 3 games. 2 against Tampa. He scored 1 against Winnipeg. He's had 11 shots on goal in the last 3 games combined. And now he's going to be on the top line tonight for the Toronto Maple Leafs. So there you go. Andre Kasha at around plus 250 for a goal scorer prop tonight for Toronto. And I like what Alex said about Kirby Dach. That's probably one to look at as well. All right, Montreal and St. Louis. We've got St. Louis minus 230, home favorites here, 6 the total in this one. Should be interesting here. Montreal, of course, just not a team I'm backing anytime soon. Just a dreadful year, 6-22. It's just been absolutely terrible for the Montreal Canadiens. And poor Andrew. It's a good thing Andrew's not here at the moment, hearing me say all this negativity about the Montreal Canadiens. But it has to be said. I mean, it's a dreadful hockey team. I think they even realize now, like, it's a lost season pretty much at this point. They're just absolutely gutted with key absences up and down the lineup right now. Armia, Dvorak, Josh Anderson, Byron, Edmondson, Gallagher, Petrie, Toffoli, you name it. I mean, it's just an absolute mash unit of a lineup right now for the Montreal Canadiens. So it's difficult to compete, difficult to win games with the lineup they're putting on the ice at this point in time. Now, 5 straight losses for Montreal going into this game tonight. St. Louis has won 2 in a row against Florida and Detroit. They've picked it up offensively. Blues have scored a grand total of 13 goals in their last 3 games combined. I'm going to go with St. Louis team total here in this one, over 3.5 at a plus price. I think they can get to 4 here against this Montreal team, especially on home ice in this game tonight. From a goaltending up situation in this one, let me just double check here. Yeah, it looks like it's Jake Allen for the Canadiens, and it is confirmed he'll be in net. And Charlie Lindgren, which sets up an interesting dynamic here. Lindgren, a former member of the Canadiens. Allen, of course, a former member of the Blues. So very fascinating that you got guys in net here that used to play for the other team. So an interesting little situation there. But look, I'm just going to go with it. Over 3.5 team total. I don't know if I want to trust Montreal to score, but maybe against Lindgren they can. Although to Lindgren's credit, didn't play that bad the other night against the Detroit Red Wings. But is it something he can keep up? Certainly would lean full game over, but I think I want to put more of my confidence in St. Louis doing the bulk of the scoring tonight. So for me, it would be Blues over 3.5 team total. Alex, Blues hosting the Canadiens.
Yeah, this one will most likely be a pass for me, but I thought that was interesting, like you mentioned with Lindgren, the dynamic of him getting the start against his old club and, team that drafted him and kind of brought him up. And you look at his numbers, I'm kind of hoping that the Blues do win and he has a great game because his numbers are a bit skewed. If he goes 3-0 and keeps his goals against still below 2, now you're going to have books maybe, starting to adjust him, like a better number 2 goalie option. He's decent, but he's not worth the, moving a line heavy. So moving forward, this is kind of a circle game. I'm going to be circling him, seeing how he does, and we might be able to fade him moving forward if he gets a win, because now, people are going to start realizing, oh, this guy's 3-0. He's one of the better backups in the league. Now he's still pretty mid-range. So this is a pass for here. This is a watch and observe kind of game.
All right, good stuff. Yeah, watch and observe definitely. For the Blues, by the way, I wanted to make note of it because in terms of the goal scoring props tonight, there's a couple that for St. Louis I might consider here in this game. They've scored 29 goals, by the way, in their last 6 home games as well. I mean, here on home ice, they've been absolutely lighting the lamp. Not that they haven't been doing it on the road, but they've definitely done it a whole lot more on home ice lately. How about Nathan Walker with the hat trick the other night? Could you believe that? Just a recent call up, and all of a sudden, maybe you just ride the wave with him tonight for the St. Louis Blues. Maybe a guy that's got the confidence going for the Blues. Now he's playing third line minutes, so he's not a top 6, but look, he's going to have confidence. How can you not? Coming off a game where you have a hat trick. Kyrou and Saad are definitely 2, and Buchnevich as well. Buchnevich is probably my favorite one, actually, because he's really starting to heat up for the Blues. We remember talking in the preview shows, Alex, what a great addition this was for the Blues in the offseason. They need a little more firepower, a little more scoring punch up front, and getting Pavel Buchnevich from the New York Rangers was a great addition for St. Louis. And look, they're a capable goal-scoring team this year. Haven't always been able to say that about St. Louis in years past. All right, we go to Anaheim and Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh finally back home after that road trip. They return home. They're minus 145, minus 150 home favorites here, 5.5 the total in this game. I kind of lean Anaheim, believe it or not, here at an underdog price. The only concern is Pittsburgh losing last night. They won, I should say, against Washington. So I think that strengthens what the look here maybe toward Anaheim is that you get Pittsburgh getting the nice victory last night against the Washington Capitals. And back home now, this is that first home game. I think Anaheim could be worth the look here in this one at plus 135, plus 140. And we got a very good chance, Alex, to see Casey DeSmith in net. You would think so, with Jari getting the start last night. And he's not exactly a guy that's been terrific in between the pipes this year for the Pittsburgh Penguins. His numbers have been kind of mediocre this year, not what you would want. And that's why he hasn't gotten many starts. I don't think there's the utmost confidence in him right now. He's coming off a great showing against Seattle, but I think it's going to be a little bit more difficult here facing this Anaheim team that, look, has now got some scoring, has now got some young forwards and talent and skill, unlike what they've seen in recent seasons. So I think it's going to be a little bit more of a challenging matchup here for Casey DeSmith against Anaheim, say, compared to what he faced last time out against Seattle. Still only an .885 save percentage and 3.65 goals against average this year for Casey DeSmith. No confirmed goalie yet for the Anaheim Ducks. John Gibson was outstanding, by the way, in the game against Columbus. And we talked about it was kind of been mediocre at times on the road, not the other night. He was fantastic in the victory against the Jackets. And he's certainly going to be fired up to play here. This is close to home for him. A Pittsburgh guy, Pennsylvania guy. Yeah. So definitely I expect to see Gibson in net. He's coming off one of his best road performances of the year against Columbus. So put it all together and you know what I'm on. I'm looking at Anaheim here. I think this could be a live underdog here, plus 135 with the Ducks in this one. Alex, what do you think here? Anaheim, Pittsburgh.
Yeah, this is an interesting matchup, and it's funny. Someone in the chat mentioned about Gibson being a Pittsburgh guy. His numbers in Pittsburgh haven't really, or at least against the Pittsburgh Penguins, haven't been that good. 5-5 with a 3.44 goals against and a 8.895 save percentage. So against his old team overall hasn't been good. He has done better in Pittsburgh than when Pittsburgh's playing in Anaheim. This is a really tough stretch here for the Ducks. I will probably be. I am fading them tonight. I'm on Pittsburgh in regulation minus $1.05, which I know is a bit tricky because, like you mentioned, the Penguins are coming off a road trip of their own. But the big spot, and like I said, we won't be on the show tomorrow, so I want to mention it now. I'm probably going to be on St. Louis anywhere in the range of minus $1.30 or better tomorrow because it's the second of back-to-backs to end the West Coast road trip. And I did some research with Pacific Division teams. They are 4-11 on the end of road trips that are 4 games or longer. Those only 2 wins came from Vancouver early in the year, and then they came from Calgary, which is obviously the best team in the Pacific as of right now. So these West Coast teams, when they're out east, that last game, they're very sluggish. So having the second night of back-to-backs, more than likely Stolar's in that, which we talked about, not the biggest drop off the road, but still a backup. I'm going to be looking to fade Anaheim tonight and tomorrow as well. So it's kind of a 2 for pick. Let's go with Penguins in regulation tonight and something, probably in the, like I said, 130 or better range with St. Louis tomorrow.
All right, so there you go. A double fade of Anaheim for Alex. Pittsburgh in regulation tonight and look towards St. Louis. By the way, what we're going to do for Sunday is we'll post our plays on the Ice Guys Twitter. Make sure you're following it at @_Ice Guys on Twitter. And I'll also have a very brief, pre-recorded, small little Sunday show before I leave for the Grey Cup festivities tomorrow. So check, and it'll air at the same time as the show always does on Sunday, which is noon Eastern time. So you'll be able to check that. It'll be very brief. It'll be bang, bang, bang through the 5 games, and it'll be no more than 10 or 15 minutes. So it'll be very short tomorrow, but we'll give you something video-wise for the Sunday card. All right, New Jersey Devils, New York Islanders. We've got the Islanders minus 160, home favorites, 5.5 the total in this game. I'll tell you what, this is an easy pass for me, Alex. I mean, I'm just about at my wit's end with both of these hockey teams right now. I mean, the Devils, the timing's been off. The Islanders, thought that they could ride the momentum of the victory against Ottawa. They couldn't do it. They lose to Nashville in their next game. So they get that first win. They're not able to sustain. I thought for a minute that maybe this team, with the win against Ottawa, get on a run. We're talking about a team that's been a very good team the last couple of years and starting to wonder now. And I remember you said it in our season preview, lots of hockey played by the Islanders the last 2 years. And you compound that with the freaking 1-month road trip, bouncing around city to city, changing time zones a million times, COVID ravaging the team, a couple weeks ago. They look gassed. They look spent at times. They look like they're lacking stamina. They're lacking energy. And I think the fact that they've had long playoff drives deep into the season, 2 years in a row, and now they've had the long road trip to begin the year. It takes a lot out of you. You're a human being. You're not a machine. You're not a robot. You're not a computer. Things like that are going to impact you a little bit. when you have that kind of grueling, not just this year, the last couple of years for the Islanders. So they just look like they're out of sorts still. I mean, the reason they beat Ottawa is because Ottawa's a shit show defensively at the moment. Other than that, their own defense, the Islanders, hasn't been as good this year. Their goal scoring comes and goes and fits and starts. And now they've got everybody mostly healthy other than Brock Nelson and Ryan Pulock. And Nelson looks like he is going to be activated from the injured list and be ready to return tonight against New Jersey. So other than Pulock on defense now, they're going to have pretty much a fully healthy lineup. So it's now or never for the Islanders, but I'm not laying minus 160 tonight with the Islanders to figure out if they can get it going. So for me, it's a pass in this game. What do you think, Alex? Devils, Islanders?
Yeah, I have no idea why on earth this price is even remotely in the range of 160 with the Islanders, the way that they played. And, like I said, New Jersey, was on them last night, and they really, really irritated me the way they lost that game. Nashville, came out with all the quotes saying, we got our asses kicked against Nashville before. Here we are trying to bounce back and get things going in the right direction, try to make up for that loss. They didn't really do that. It was just kind of a whole-hum game. So these are two teams that aren't worth betting on right now. So there's not even value with a plus 145 here with the Devils. This is just a clear pass. There's better spots on the board tonight.
Yeah, and you know what the commonality here is, Alex? Both of these teams off a loss to Nashville in their last game. Right. So that's obviously last night for the Devils and the night before for the New York Islanders losing to Nashville.
Which is sometimes that's a good thing. Now, if you are interested in betting this game, that's sometimes a good thing to have. Like, look at the highlights between each game playing against a common opponent recently, and then you can kind of get an idea of how their form is going. Now, both teams have sucked lately, so that's just the general synopsis of it. But if you want to look at certain specific details, and if you do have some interest in this game, I would recommend looking at the highlights of both of their meetings against the Predators.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you, Dommy Gunn. That's our one and only Dom Ricci in the chat. Appreciate the kind words and the good luck for the Grey Cup tomorrow. I certainly hope for good results there. Appreciate everybody joining us on a Saturday here at noon Eastern. Again, we're here 7 days a week on the Ice Guys, breaking down every NHL game from a betting perspective all season long. Hit the like button. Make sure you do that. It helps us out quite a bit. All right, we move on to Philadelphia and Arizona. Philadelphia, how about last night, the Flyers? What a big-time victory for them against Vegas. We'll see if they can sustain it here, minus 145, minus 150. Road favorites, 6 the total, shaded to the under in this game. Look, I'm a little bit the voice inside my head says you should back Philly here. They finally won a game. Can they keep it rolling here? But it's a second of back-to-backs. And I just feel like with this Flyers team, that was such a huge win for them last night against Vegas, kind of an unexpected win, 4-3 in that victory over the Golden Knights. And look, for Carter Hart and net, it was outstanding for him. That's the Carter Hart they want to see on a regular basis. Magnificent last night, 41 saves on 44 Vegas shots. That's the kind of performance you want to see from your goalie. As far as the offense goes, Van Riemsdyk finally scores. It's been a little bit of a slump for him. Couturier as well. Kevin Hayes, you hope he can stay healthy because he's a solid player when he does. And he helps out and scores the first goal last night for Philadelphia as well. Great win. Nothing else to say. I mean, it was a terrific win against a very good hockey team. But Philly's they've got schizophrenia written all over it in my mind for them. It would be just so Philadelphia for them to lay an egg tonight, and even lowly Arizona, to beat them in this game tonight. Now, it's a back-to-back situation here for both teams. Philly's the team traveling, and Philly's coming from Las Vegas. And you know what I always feel about that, especially when you win like you did last night. There's some celebrating going on. It's been a rough stretch. Your first win for the interim coach, Mike Yeo. And do you really fall flat on your keister tonight against Arizona? That worries me. And they got to travel. And for Arizona, it's back-to-back, but no travel. They were at home to Florida last night, and they stay at home tonight to take on this Philadelphia Flyers team. So there's a pass. I want no part of either side. But if you ask me, this is one of those games. If you ask me the Flyers win, not shocked. If you ask me the Coyotes win, though, to be quite honest with you, not shocked. I would not be totally shocked if Arizona wins either. So I'm going to stay off this game. Just two teams that just are not exactly teams I'm trusting at the moment. Alex, what do you think here? Flyers, Coyotes.
I've said there's only going to be 23 wins from this Arizona team this year. This probably will be one of those 23, but I'm not willing to back that with my money right now. Like I said, these are two teams that you can't rely on, and like I said, it would just be typical Flyers fashion after getting a big win against a decent opponent to come out the very next night and lay an egg against the worst team in hockey. So, like I said, wouldn't be shocked either way. Like I said, there's better stuff on the board, so it's a pass. Somebody mentioned the draw. There's a decent draw price at plus 335 plus 340, and you're going to get that sometimes with the way that obviously Arizona is being priced as a heavy underdog. So you'll find some better draw prices there. That wouldn't shock me here either, honestly. So if you had to bet something on this game, maybe take the draw, but I'm just going to pass altogether.
To be honest with you, we'll see again what's going to happen with this tonight with the goaltending on the back-to-back. But I'm passing for now. If we see Martin Jones, I'm going to be very tempted by Coyotes and over. I'll say that right now. If we see Martin Jones in net tonight for the Flyers. But again, I don't think that's a given because of the fact Carter Hart was so strong in net last night. They might put him back in there on a back-to-back spot. It will be Karel Vejmelka for the Arizona Coyotes. And it's been a one high against Winnipeg 2 starts ago where he stood on his head and shut him out to one terrible low after that, giving up 7 goals to the Vegas Golden Knights. So Vejmelka, a little bit of a wild card. What are you going to get from him tonight? But if we see a Martin Jones confirmation, I'm certainly going to look over, and I might even sprinkle on Arizona as well.
And we might see that too, because I'm looking at his numbers against Arizona: 9-5-2 with a 2.23 goals against, a 914 save percentage, and 2 shutouts. Now, granted, those are numbers when he played with San Jose and the LA Kings when he was a better goaltender. So if they're riding on those old numbers, then yeah, we might see him, and we still might get a good price. So I might jump on that over too if he is confirmed.
Yeah, definitely. All right, Columbus and Seattle. Next up, we got the Kraken, minus 165 to minus 170, home favorites in this game. The total 6 here, pretty much across the board. We'll see how this game goes. These teams actually played earlier this year, October 16th, 2-1 victory for the Columbus Blue Jackets over the Seattle Kraken. We'll see if Seattle can earn some redemption here in this game. They've lost 2 of the first 3 games on this homestand. The win was against Edmonton, and then they lost to Pittsburgh and Winnipeg in back-to-back games, shut out by the Jets in the last game. We'll see if they're going to bounce back here in this one. What's very fascinating here, and I'm going to probably look at the over in this game. You look at Columbus's track record this year. The last several games that they've played an under, they've gone over the next time. That's been a pattern. They had an under on October 29th against the Rangers. Next game went over. Vegas game stayed under. Next game went over. They had Washington game went over the total next time against San Jose. So they've been one of those teams where when they do have an under or lower scoring game, they try to pick it up offensively. I think they're gonna, because they lost to Anaheim 2-1 the other night. Certainly for the Seattle side, they got shut out by Winnipeg. So you'd expect offense to be their main area of focus going into this game tonight between these two teams. So I think you see both teams wanting to find the back of the net, knowing that offense was hard to come by in the last game. It probably will be Merzlikins and Grubauer, your 2 goalies. Merzlikins has had a little bit of a home road split. He's been terrific at home. He hasn't been as sharp on the road here. So that would be the concern for me with him. And Grubauer, he just continues to be so up and down all year, more downs than ups, to be honest with you. So I think we could get there with an over in this game. And I'm certainly not willing to lay this big of a price with Seattle. I think it's a spot where this is their most winnable game, to be honest with you, of the last, the last 2 games were Pittsburgh and Winnipeg. Those are better teams than Columbus. I think it's a winnable spot for Seattle. I'd lean Seattle, but I'm just not going to lay this kind of price. So for me, I'll probably just stick to the over here. Alex, Jackets, Kraken.
Yeah, I'm going with the over in the first period here. You're only laying $1.30. It's a little higher, but obviously with the trends with these 2 teams, they're both first period over teams, and Seattle's one of the best teams as far as getting a goal in the first 10 minutes. You also mentioned the home and road splits from Merzlikins. Definitely not as good on the road. So this is definitely one of those spots I could feel where we get maybe 2 or 3 goals early, and then things might slow down a little bit. So you could find a possible opportunity to grab a in-game under as well if you're feeling so inclined. But at the same time, these 2 teams, you'd worry about that because they can just absolutely start a track meet if they have a fast start in the first 20 minutes. So we're just going to play it safe, go with the first period over with Jackets and Kraken.
All right, there we go. Jackets and Kraken, first period over for Alex. All right, Boston and Calgary. We've got Calgary minus 130, home favorites here, 5.5 the total in this game. This is a tricky one for me. Calgary, I kind of think I want to back them. I was looking to back them in this game. They've lost 3 in a row. They're kind of slumping a little bit. Vegas, San Jose, and of course an overtime loss to Carolina, 2-1 in their last game. Certainly, it looks like a kind of a circle the wagons bounce back spot. But you look at Boston; they got a nice win against Edmonton the other night, 3-2, and one of their worst games this year. Alex, it's probably why I'm going to ease off taking Calgary tonight. One of the worst games I've seen Boston play all year. It was a listless performance against Calgary. It was in Boston a few weeks ago. They got shut out 4-0. They got blanked in that game. I think you're going to see a massive amount of purpose here for the Bruins tonight in this game and looking to atone for that performance. And let's be honest, Calgary's starting to slump again. The offense, tailing off the last few games. That's definitely a little bit of a concern, and the home struggles for this team are very real. For the most part of the season to this point, Calgary Flames have done most of their damage on the road. They have an 11-6 road record on the year. They are only 4-6 at home. So the Saddle Dome has not been a friendly venue to the Calgary Flames this year. Below 500 at home, and I got to lay minus 135, and they're slumping, and they're playing a Boston team that I think wants this game or is going to show up tonight after getting pelted by Calgary earlier this year at the TD Garden. So lean Calgary, but I don't feel good enough about it to pull the trigger. Alex, what do you think here? Bruins, Flames.
Yeah, this is a pass for me. Like you said, this is two teams that really kind of need to figure a lot of different things out. And Calgary's obviously playing way better than we all expect. I don't think any of us expect them December 11th to be first place in the Pacific. And Boston, like I said, we knew they were going to have some ups and downs and some struggles. These two teams need to kind of figure things out. So this is probably a game I'd watch and look for something live. Track it and see who's getting the good start, who's getting who's dictating the pace in this game. But as far as a pregame side or total, I'm passing, staying away from
Yeah.
it. Ian, you're muted.
And you look at the Bruins here since they got Marchand back. It's a situation where you've seen the team look a little bit more cohesive, better. They could have beat Vancouver the other night. I thought they played well enough. It was just a goalie battle. They had their chances. Demko was good. And I thought they played well against Edmonton as well. A very solid game against the Oilers the other night. So signs of life for Boston here. And remember, Boston lost badly at home to Edmonton. What happened in Edmonton? They avenged the loss. And I'm worried about that here tonight. That was a brutal game they had against Calgary earlier this year. It was listless, lifeless, lethargic. There was no piss poor effort. Piss poor. If you watch that game, Boston was just horrible in that game. And you think they maybe want to atone for that here tonight against the Calgary Flames. One of the better games of the night for sure. And of this Saturday card, Carolina now taking on Edmonton. Certainly, I don't want to say Stanley Cup final preview because Edmonton's got ways to go and Carolina does, but each team, one of the better teams in their conference for sure. We've got Edmonton minus 125 home favorites, 6 the total in this game. You wouldn't believe it if I said it to you, but you got to believe it. What's happened to the Oilers offense? We're concerned right now. That's the issue we've got right now with the Edmonton Oilers. 4 goals in the last 3 games combined. They're now right in their massive longest losing streak of the year, 4 games against LA, Seattle, Minnesota, Boston. So it has definitely been a struggle for the Edmonton Oilers. And now they got to play a Carolina team that they went through their own little cold streak going 1-5 in 6 games. And they've righted the ship, winning 3 straight against Buffalo. And then the first 2 against Winnipeg and Winnipeg and Calgary on this road trip. So Carolina's starting to round into form a little bit here going into this matchup. You look at the Edmonton Oilers, and other than, McDavid, Draisaitl, and Hyman, this team has just, quite frankly, had difficulty finding other sources of offense. It's been that simple, and that ends up being a big part of the problem here. Dave Tippett saying you can't let frustration get to you. We're not feeling good about losing. We expect more. We'll see if they can get it going tonight against this Carolina Hurricanes team. Carolina still remains without a couple of defensemen as well in Brett Pesce and Tony DeAngelo. They're in COVID protocol. And, when it comes to teams that are dealing with some injuries back there, you wonder if that's going to show up in a game of this magnitude. We'll have to wait and see. It might open the door maybe for Edmonton's offense to get rolling here a little bit. And when you look at Carolina now, they've been on the road for pretty much a week. And I think, with this Edmonton team, the more you lose, the more the desperation sets in to maybe get things back on track. I think you'll see a better performance. I don't know if I want to lay a minus 125 price with a team slumping like Edmonton is, and Carolina's won 3 in a row. Normally, I don't want to. I want to back the team that's on the win streak, go against the team that's on the losing streak. So that's why I'm going to stay off the side. But I'm going to look over in this game. It's 5-1 in the last 6 meetings between these two teams. 7 of the last 9 in Edmonton between the Canes and the Oilers have gone over the total. And I think for Edmonton tonight could be one of those nights where you see the offense start to come to life a little bit. Because remember, still a little bit of a cluster absence, I should say, situation for the Hurricanes on their blue line right now. This could be one of those games where you see it come to light, and you've got some series history on your side with these two teams, for the most part, playing a little bit more higher scoring games head to head against one another. So we'll look at the over here, over 6 in this game. No goaltending confirmations yet for this game. You would expect maybe it's going to be Anderson for Carolina and Koskinen for Edmonton. Carolina is on a back-to-back, though. They play Vancouver tomorrow night. So there is a little more doubt that we see Anderson. Maybe Ronta gets tonight, Anderson gets tomorrow. We'll have to wait and see on that. Alex, what do you think here, Carolina, Edmonton?
This is definitely a spot where I would be looking to back Carolina, getting them at a plus price, in good form, winning 3 in a row. And I know a lot of people are probably saying, okay, well, Edmonton can't just struggle this long. Well, yeah, good teams can go on losing streaks. And we know the makeup of this Oiler team. Like I said, they're top 6 heavy. They only have a few guys that really, you can consistently count on the score night after night. So if those guys get tired, then, things can happen. They can go on a bit of a losing streak, and they can continue this slide downward. But Carolina, you're not going to get them that often. Home or road at plus $1.05 here. This is, like I said, the premier game of the night. I'm going to go Carolina here, plus $1.05 on the money line.
Yeah, it's the logic there makes sense. I mean, this is a good team that you don't get this kind of price with very often. They're the team in better form right now as well in this game. So I hear you on that. Carolina plus 105. I'm going to go over 6 in this one, Hurricanes and Oilers. And you know what I'm going to do in terms of a goal scoring prop here for the Edmonton Oilers tonight in this game? Now, certainly for Carolina, the usual suspects are who you'd want to target probably. Aho is usually, he's been terrific all season long for them, and he's been pretty good offensively of late. But for Edmonton, obviously, you want to target McDavid, Draisaitl, and Hyman normally because they're the guys that have been carrying the offense for the Oilers. But I'm going to go with a little bit of a flyer here at a plus 450 price on Warren Foegele tonight, former Carolina Hurricane. It's uncanny how many times in the NHL we see, especially the first time a player goes to play his former team and he shows up on the score sheet against them and finds the back of the net. It's happened a bunch this year already. I've lost track of all the instances we've seen this happen, but it's happened a bunch. And you can get Warren Foegele here plus 450 for the Edmonton Oilers tonight as he plays his former team, the Carolina Hurricanes, for the first time. So I like that angle a lot. I find it's been coming through a lot. So putting a few bucks on that, I have no issues with that. He's on the third line tonight, it looks like, with Ryan McLeod and Zach Kassian for the Edmonton Oilers.
So I pose this question to you. When you have a player going against his old team like that and the price is high for him to score 450, that would mean that for him to just get a point, probably be in the plus range as well. Would you recommend that? Because like I said, maybe he gets an assist, he chips in on the play, doesn't exactly get the goal. Would you recommend that for sometimes for these spots with players going against their old teams if the price is reasonable? Oh, wait, you're on mute.
There we go. Sorry, we're having problems with the mute button this morning. I click it, and I think the mouse is a little defective for me. When I click, it doesn't do what I want it to do. So there we go. But yeah, I agree with what you said. I mean, I would look at a points prop for Foegele. The problem is he's not usually posted on point prop boards, in a lot of books. There's a lot of times we don't see him. So I'm going to look here at our favorite spot here. Actually, DraftKings doesn't have much yet for the Carolina Edmonton games. You'll probably see it later in the day. But yeah, if there is a Foegele points prop that I see, I would certainly be interested in it. No question about
but
that.
I just meant as a theory question. Is that something that if you do have a guy, obviously, like I said, if it's a top line forward, then his numbers, you're going to be laying 150, 160. That's not the reasonable price. But if the guy's in that plus 250, 300 range to score,
Yeah.
and for him to get a point would be plus $1.05, plus $1.10, that might be a more viable option.
Yeah, exactly. I agree with that for sure. But yeah, Warren Fogle, if you find a points prop, I certainly wouldn't talk you out of it. And like I say, plus 450, great value here. Maybe he finds the back of the net here from his third line position here against the Carolina Hurricanes tonight, his former team. All right, Minnesota Wild, Los Angeles Kings. We've got the Wild minus 140 to minus 150 road favorites in this game. 5.5, 6 being the total across the board. This is one of those, if it ain't broke, don't fix it bets for me. It's not going to be my best bet like it was the other night against San Jose, but I'm going to go back to the Wild. Minnesota Wild team total over 3.5. I mean, this team's just clockwork right now. 4 goals every game, it seems, from this Wild team. Very impressed. I mean, this team right now with what they're getting offensively is impressive because it's some different player every night. It's Ryan Hartman. It's Kirill Kaprizov. It's Joel Eriksson-Ek. It's Greenway, Jordan Greenway the other night. Scoring for Minnesota. I mean, it's just the depth of scoring and finding different players to contribute and chip in goals right now. It's been remarkable for the Minnesota Wild. Matt Zuccarello as well, so far this year has stayed healthy and contributed. Marcus Foligno, we think of him more of a rugged physical player, good away from the puck, but he's had an offensive definitely surge and splurge to his game this year for the Minnesota Wild. Minnesota averaging 4.7 goals per game over their last 10 games. Kings are coming off a great win against Dallas, 4-0. It was one of their better games. They took advantage of a Dallas team in a tough spot. They blew the game against Vegas, and they looked a step behind the entire game against the LA Kings the other night, and I think the Kings took advantage of that. But let's not forget, they're still 3-8 in their last 11 games. They've definitely struggled still. And look, the last time they won was against, I believe, Ottawa for one of their few recent wins, and they gave up 5 goals the next game after beating Ottawa. So that's why even after shutting out Dallas the other night, I don't know if we're going to see that same defensive effort against a red-hot team like Minnesota who are just filling the net right now at a rapid pace. Again, they've been scoring at least 4 goals in the majority of their recent games, and I'm going to roll with it again here. Minnesota team total over 3.5. Plus 120. Alex, what do you think here? Wild and Kings.
Yeah, I'm right there with you with that same play. I mean, that's just a bargain of value. The way, like I said, they're getting contributions up and down the lineup. Ryan Hartman, that has to be the best contract for any team in all of hockey. The production he has, and this guy's only making about 1.6 million this year, making the former Hawks GM Stan Bowman look like an idiot because he pretty much said, "Oh, this guy doesn't really have much offensive upside." Well, so much for that. He actually does. And like I said, they're getting contributions even from the fourth line guys like Foligno. You just kind of rely on him to bring the physical grit, but he has a bit of a scoring touch, and it all starts at the top with Kirill Kaprizov. The way that he's passing the puck along, hasn't been getting as many goals. He's been more of the assist guy, the facilitator. But hey, whatever role works with this team, like I said, the way Dean Evason has them all kind of just picking up themselves by the bootstraps, playing forward, doing whatever needs to be done at any given point, and being adaptable to styles. That's been the key for Minnesota. That's why they're atop the Central Division at the moment. I like this first period over, but I love this full game over. Grabs at 5.5 minus $1.20 overnight, and I'm also going to go with the team total over 3.5 with the Wild. This has always been a back and forth series, no matter how good or bad the two teams are. So that's why I like this over even more than say the team total. I think we will see LA get a couple of goals. They have been able to find their way scoring. I don't think they're going to be able to, enough to where they can force overtime or anything like that. Wild should get the win here, but I think this is going to be a fun game to watch. This is always exciting when these two teams play. They were division mates last year, but they just played each other last year as if they're rivals. So it should be another good one tonight.
Yeah, definitely. I'm looking forward to this one here, Kings and Wild. Yeah, we'll see where the goaltending is. It feels like this could be a Kakinen spot. I don't know why, but it is a back-to-back
Yeah,
situation
that wouldn't
for
shock me either.
the Minnesota Wild, and that's why if that's the case, I might tack on that full game over as well in this game because Kings might be able to find some offense as well if it's Kakinen. Talbot might be rested for Vegas tomorrow night when they play the Golden Knights in the Fortress there in Sin City. So. We'll definitely see. Oh, is he confirmed? Let me just double check. I think Chris is trying to tell us that he might be in here. Some sites, you're right, are late reporting compared to others. Let me see. Do we have No, we don't have anybody, I think, confirmed
Yeah,
yet.
I didn't see it on goalie post yet, and I would advise everybody to maybe check goalie post in about a couple hours. That's when we'll probably see more teams have guys confirmed. So with
Yeah.
in the 3 o'clock Eastern hour probably.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, I still lean full game over. I like wild team total over, and Alex likes the full game over, first period over as well. All right, Dallas and San Jose, final game of this Saturday card. We've got Dallas minus 120, road favorites here, 5.5 the total in this game. Is this the spot for the Dallas? This is another one that's it's tricky for. I don't think it's just you step in and for sure, get in there and back the Dallas Stars here because this is a streaky bunch. We know they went on a bad losing streak early in the year. We know they've righted the ship and they played great hockey, winning 7 in a row. And now they've lost 2 in a row against Vegas and LA, getting shut out 4-0 the other night. So, bit of a streaky team. Can they bounce back here against the Sharks? It's certainly a good opportunity to do that. The Sharks have dropped 3 of their last 4 games heading into this matchup against the Dallas Stars. But the Stars have struggled in San Jose. That's definitely a concern, even head to head. You look at it, San Jose and Dallas, the last 6 head-to-head meetings, it's a 3-3 split between these two teams. So we're going to have to wait and see if Dallas is capable of bouncing back here. I don't know if I want to lay it with Dallas here. We've just seen too much evidence of this team being very streaky, going through great times, going through bad times, and you worry that maybe this is one of those bad times again for the Dallas Stars going into this game. So it's a tough one. I lean Dallas. I don't want San Jose, but I think it's just going to be a lean. And Dallas has nowhere been as good on the road compared to at home. You look at Dallas, 4-8 on the road, 9-3 at home. You got to factor that in. A lot of their damage and a lot of their best play this year has been on home ice. So I lean Dallas, but it's just something about that and the struggles they've had and the issues they've had winning on the road. It's going to keep that from being a bet for me. Just a lean for Dallas for me in this game. Alex, what do you think here, Stars and Sharks?
I jumped on the draw. I got it plus 315 about maybe 3.5 hours ago. I'm not seeing it drop all the way down to 300, 295 at a couple of shops. So grab that sooner than later. I mean, it's still worth a play, obviously. I think the bottom out for a draw would probably have to be 275. And I mean, still even then, you're getting plus price. So, but obviously the best of the value, it's still there, but it's fleeting. And I think a lot of people are looking at these two teams that they could kind of play in that style of keeping each other at bay just enough. Not going to see a burst of offense from either team, but we're not going to just see complete defensive meltdown either. So this feels like it'd be a 2-2 game or a 3-3 game after 60 minutes. That means we can cash the draw and get that plus value.
All right, liking the draw here. That might be a decent option here. It feels like it'll be a close game. I don't think either team's going to pull away from the other. So the draw definitely could be live in this one. What also is live is we were about to wrap up the show is DraftKings Sportsbook. It's live because it is a great place to place your bets. DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL and NHL. You'll be a winner once a single point is scored in NFL action on Sunday. New customers who bet just $1 on any team to score can win $100 in free bets. It's that simple. If DraftKings Sportsbook isn't available in your state, you can play for huge cash prizes all season long with DraftKings Daily Fantasy Sports Contests. DraftKings is giving all new customers a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes with their first deposit. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use promo code THPN and bet $1 on any team to score and win $100 in free bets. If they score, you score with promo code THPN this week at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL and NHL. Must be 21 years of age or older, must reside in a DraftKings Sportsbook state. New customers only. Minimum $5 deposit and $1 wager required. One per customer. Restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Sign up for an account and use the promo code THPN. All right, great Saturday show. Lots of fun breaking down all 12 games. It is a massive menu, a massive smorgasbord buffet of NHL action, if you will. And that's great from a best bet standpoint because it gives us a lot to choose from. So let's get to it. Best bets to wrap up the show. Best bets for me have been really good. So
Yeah,
I'm going to try to, just hit the right one here once again tonight. But the best bets have been very strong for me the last week or so on the show. We'll see if we can keep it rolling here tonight on this Saturday slate. Alex, we'll start with you. What do you like for best bet?
Yeah, let's head out to Hollywood. They're still going to call it Staples Center. At least the fans will. I'll still call it the Staples Center. It's the LA Kings and the Minnesota Wild. We'll go over 5.5 minus $1.20. This Wild team has just been absolutely red hot offensively, and like I said, they bring the best out of the Kings for whatever reason. It's usually fun, entertaining games. So I think we'll have enough here with both these clubs to get over that 5.5 minus $1.20. That's my best bet for Saturday.
All right, there we go. Best bet for Alex B. Smith. My best bet. Come on, Edmonton, get your offense going. It's that we don't usually think of that being the problem when the Oilers lose games, but that has been the problem the last few during this little slump. I think they get it going a little bit offensively tonight, and of course with Carolina, they're also very dangerous up front, combined with the blue line injuries that they have. You know, when your blue line's got some new faces back there, facing the speed of McDavid and the playmaking and just the puck movement of what Edmonton can bring, that could be a little bit of a tough transition for you defensively. So I think Edmonton scores. I think Carolina does as well. The series history points to goals, as it's been an over series history with the two teams. Let's go Carolina, Edmonton, over 6, minus 120. That is going to be my best bet for this Saturday NHL card.
And if your book has 6.5, you can just wait live, and that should drop probably within the first 2 minutes. So you should be able to get a 6. If you can't get it right now, you should be able to get that adjusted in game.
Yeah, or you could bet DraftKings Sportsbook. It's 6 there right now.
Absolutely.
Use DraftKings. That's why we say it on the show. Our great partners here at the Ice Guys and the Hockey Podcast Network. DraftKings has over 6, minus 120, the exact line that I bet on this total between the Hurricanes and the Oilers. So we're going to go over the total there, Carolina, Edmonton, for my best bet. That'll wrap up this edition of the Ice Guys. We thank everybody in the chat for joining us live on YouTube. Hit the like button. Make sure you do that. And a reminder, the Ice Guys is live 7 days a week, Monday to Friday, 2 p.m. Eastern, Saturday and Sunday, noon Eastern. If you can't watch the show live, download the Ice Guys podcast in audio form on all major podcast platforms, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, and iHeartRadio. Download the Ice Guys podcast whenever you can't tune in and watch the show live. For Alex B. Smith, I'm Ian Cameron. Have a great Saturday. Enjoy the games and good luck. I will have a pre-recorded Sunday Ice Guys show for you at noon Eastern tomorrow. We'll also have our plays posted on our Twitter account at @the_Ice Guys. So make sure you check that out. So we'll have a Sunday pre-recorded show, and then the entire crew will be back with you live on Monday for another live edition, 2 p.m. Eastern, of the Ice Guys, presented by the Hockey Podcast Network.